I've seen alligator boots, alligator shoes, and alligator bags. This dude's wearing alligator armor. Why? Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here, and we're wrapping up our look at the Rise of Beasts toys with Optimus Primal and his alligator partner, Skull Cruncher. And of course, Optimus Primal is the leader of the Maximals. And we did do a full review of a modern version of Optimus Primal that was released back in the War for Cybertron Kingdom line. As usual, it will appear up there somewhere, or be at the end of the video, one way or the other. But we're also going to talk a little bit about his partner, but we'll save that for later. And if there's one thing to enjoy about the inclusion of the Beast characters in the movie, in this recent movie, is the fact that they had Ron Perlman voice Optimus Primal. Now again, that isn't the original voice actor from the cartoon series of the 90s, but Ron Perlman did voice the character in the Prime Wars cartoon produced by Machinima. And you can also see it here on YouTube. That's how I watched it. So it's nice to see that they at least brought back the same actor to reprise the role again. I just wish I could say the same about many of their other choices, but we've already done that this month. And I'm not one to enjoy beating a dead horse. However, if you saw last week's video, then you've probably already figured where we're going with this one. Once again, we're going to give a shout out to Melissa for sending us these toys. I thank you very much for that, even though I've given these toys a fair amount of hate this month, and I really don't like doing that when somebody sends me some as a gift, but you do come here for an honest review, and I gotta be honest with you folks, none of these have done any good for me. Alright, we'll start by looking at Primal here. I'm not really a fan of the blue head on him, because I know that's not, well, it is the color, but there should be some more color on the face there, so I'm disappointed that they really went minuscule on the paint here. And if you think they went at minuscule right now, stick around, you'll see worse. Alright, let's take a look at Primal's articulation, and if you saw Bumblebee last week, you kind of know where we're going with it. Primal, though, is a little bit better. We still can't turn the head at all. The arm can be raised up about so far, and it does rotate at the shoulder. Again, it does not move beyond that, but the shoulders are on a bit of a ball joint, so we can spread them out and bring them together a bit. He again has no waist articulation. The legs can be spread apart into a full splits with ease. He has no thigh cut. You can raise his leg at the hip over 90 degrees. You can bend his leg at the knee just over 90 degrees. And even more so, he has ankle articulation. I guess that's something. Alright, to transform Optimus Primal, it's a rather simple process. You'll come up here and you're going to pull on the head so it brings down the chest. Then you will turn and rotate the chest around so it'll become the gorilla form. And then you'll fold it right back up into that position. Raise the arms up so that they're pointing straight. Then we're going to bend his legs at the hip, and then you will bend them at the knees, and then bring down the ankles. And then there you have it. He is in gorilla mode. I guess if we're really ready for some Planet of the Apes style action, we're ready to go. But again, like with Bumblebee last week, the design is kind of ruined by the fact that right here near his shoulders is the connection pieces for the other animal. So it kind of detracts from the overall look. But then again, from the way I saw in the trailers for Rise of Beasts, they really didn't try to hide the fact that these guys in their beast form still somewhat looked mechanical, and not exactly like the real creatures. Okay, now we got his animal partner, Skull Cruncher. And of course, Skull Cruncher comes from the Generation 1 era. Skull Cruncher was a headmaster and functioned as a swamp warrior. The Nebulon partner he was bonded to, whose name I can't recall at the moment, was a Nebulon businessman. So he was trying, as they were merged together, to teach Skull Cruncher a little bit about corporate ethics and whatnot. Skull Cruncher instead was more interested in eating his business rivals. Of course, that version of the toy has been reviewed on my channel. There will be a link somewhere in this video to take a look at it. Now, just like Snarl Saber that we reviewed last week with Bumblebee, the loose parts are all with Skull Cruncher. Because, like, you can remove the top of the alligator head. As you can see, that reveals a gun in his mouth. I guess that's a little bit of an improvement over the cockpit in his mouth the Generation 1 figure had. Especially for a character that likes to eat things. Not exactly a safe spot, if you ask me, but I'm not the guy that has to ride in him. And, of course, the tail is removable. And the tail can double as a club of sorts for Optimus Primal to wield. That is, if it will go in his hand. There it goes. I don't need no stinking club. I've got an alligator's butt to smack you with. Well, we can't argue with how stupid that looks. The original Skull Cruncher's tail also doubled as a weapon, too. And if you haven't seen it, yes, it's about as stupid as what this is. But that one was at least a little bit smaller, so you could hide some of the stupidity. Alright, now to connect the two together, they have Skull Cruncher all together, so we'll go with that so that it matches up. You take Skull Cruncher and put him down over Optimus Primal's head. Skull Cruncher should look over his right shoulder. The measurement distance between the posts on this one is better than what they were on Bumblebee, so I'll give it credit for that. You can then rotate the legs up to the top. Again, this is about the only articulation. I forgot to mention it earlier, but those of you who have been on the channel a while, you knew that was likely coming. Then we come up here to the alligator's back. We got to shift this one leg a bit, because we're going to open him up and then you fold the whole section down. As you see, that opens it up with a new head for Primal. Now, I just let go and it snapped all the way back up. I hate these figures. Bumblebee did it, and this one does it too. The mechanism to lock them doesn't really work that great. There we go. Got them attached. So now they would want you to remove the tail and the upper portion of the alligator head. Of course, they'll want you to rotate out the gun so that he can at least look like he's trying to aim the gun. The alligator head can then be mounted on his arm, so it's kind of like a shield. And then, of course, put the tail in his hand, and he's got a club. And then we just moved the position of the arm a bit, and this thing just came right back up again. So we ain't gonna bother to try to give him a nice battle pose. But there he is. That's how he looks when he's all together. So, what do I think of this toy? I hate it. I think many of you knew this was coming, but I absolutely do not like this one. This one comes off cheaper than how Bumblebee did. So, I mean, take a look here on the camera here. They didn't even bother to put much paint application over Optimus's new head. So it's molded in the same dark green as the rest of him. I mean, they painted the eyes, they painted the eyebrows, and they painted the inside of his mouth. It's kind of, okay, that's one thing, but what about the rest of his head? Shouldn't that be blue to match the rest of it, match what it was underneath? Is this supposed to be some sort of helmet instead of his head? And as you saw, I mean, I don't know if it's true on all samples or if it's just mine, but you saw the spring mechanism isn't that great on this one. The articulation's a little bit better, because at least Primal has room to move his arms all the way up, so now we can get him in the battle pose. But again, still, the armor's still going to limit what you can do with him. Like I said, with Bumblebee and Snarl Saber, I'd have preferred the animals being able to be broken up into several pieces and be attached on. It would at least look a little bit better. This still just looks stupid, and it bears all the hallmarks of Hasbro's cheapness. This was kind of an idea that was half-baked and probably should have went back in the oven, never to see the light of day again. At any rate, that's my review of the Rise of Beasts version of Optimus Primal and Skull Cruncher. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please do remember that if you like the content that we feature on this channel, we'd like you to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Next month, we're still debating on what we're going to do. I've got a few studio guys to cover. I'm slowly building up some legacy guys. But I've also talked about looking at some of the Power of the Primes guys again. At any rate, I'll get something picked, and we'll go with that. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.